It will go down in history as a stunning fall for the longtime dictator who kept rebel forces at bay for years with the help of Moscow and Tehran. Rebels opposed to Bashar Al-Assad swept through the country in a lightning offensive, marking a dramatic breakthrough for factions that have been trying to unseat Assad for nearly 13 years. Joining me now to discuss the civil war in Syria and its consequences for the region and the world is Wojciech Cegielski, foreign news correspondent from Polish Radio. Good evening, Wojciech.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
All right. So, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham,
yes,
Organization for the Liberation of the Levant, is believed, by the US at least, to be a terrorist group. Tell us, please, can they turn into pragmatism? What can we tell about this supposedly new government?
Well, they are turning to pragmatism right now, but I'm afraid it will be a short period of this pragmatism. This is a very loose coalition of Islamists. Basically, the name Al-Nusra or Al-Qaeda may sound familiar, and this is the inhabitant. This is the organization HTS, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. It's the organization established in 2020, but this is the organization which has roots in Al-Qaeda and Al-Nusra, the radical Islamist organizations. And this is the loose coalition of Islamists, Kurds, Druze, and other fractions, which conquered the Syria, as you've said, in the lightning offensive. But the question is, what's next? And I guess because there are so many differences, and because Syria went through horrible 15 years, at least, in this war, the differences, the emotions, the revenge will be at the top of the agenda for many different groups. We have to remember that it's not the organization like the Western-style organization, although it has its leader, Abu Muhammad al-Jawlani, who's currently been in one of the most iconic Damascus mosque, having a speech to all the Syrians. But this is the organization who is basically supported by Turkey, but also supported by other Islamists, by other very, very pragmatic, as for now, but very radical groups.
I know it's certainly very complicated with all those factions and ethnic minorities, but if you could tell us, please, who should not feel safe today in Syria?
Anybody. Syria is a patchwork of different groups: Sunni Muslims, Shia, Kurds, Alawites, who are, for sure, they are not feel very safe right now. Christians as well, because Christians, they always been the group which is very low profile level, but because of ISIS, because of Al-Nusra and other radical groups who were in Syria, well, even before the Arab Spring, when it was launched in 2011, so Christians were affiliated with Assad because they have no choice. They have a choice between Assad and between radical Islamists. So they have always chosen Assad. So right now, I guess the first revenge wave, the first wave of revenge could turn into Alawites. That's for sure, because this is a small sect which the clan of Assad was from, and the Christians. But unfortunately for Syria and for all of Middle East, it could spill into a rivalry between even different Shia and different Sunni groups.
Okay, so Europe should expect another refugee crisis?
Yes, definitely. I guess the Christians would be the first to emigrate to Europe. It's a similar story to what is happening somewhere below the level in Bethlehem in Palestine, when Christians are the first one to immigrate because they are well educated, they know the languages, they have the skills, so they have a better chance to find a job. and most of them have their families in the West, somewhere in Germany, France, etc. So they are in a better position to emigrate. So I guess the Christians would be the first to emigrate to Europe because they have a better chance to settle down, to find a job and to survive.
So many foreign powers implied in this conflict, right? We have Russia, we have Iran, we have United States, Turkey, Israel. Why is Syria so important, and why everybody are really keeping attention to this particular country?
Because it is in the center of the Middle East, in a historical center in the Middle East, because it is on the crossroads between different conflicts. For example, the biggest Middle Eastern conflict between Shia and Sunni. Right now, the conflict between Iran and Saudi Arabia, and all of the proxy wars who were ongoing in the Middle East, focused in 2011, 2012, when the Arab Spring has happened, just in Syria. Because we have to remember, in case of Egypt, in case of Libya, in case of Tunisia, the Arab Spring was a relatively short one. In Egypt, protesters needed 30 days to overthrow Mubarak. In Libya, they needed a couple of months. In Syria, the Arab Spring have turned into very bloody civil war. So all of the proxies were there to fight.
500,000 people died, 1 million more fled. So now I would like to turn to Russia, because this is also important for our region with the fall of Assad and the latest development. Does this all weaken Russia, or you rather predict that all the troops deployed to Syria will now be somehow flown to Ukraine?
It's a massive blow for Russia, because Assad was one of the two main key allies in the Middle East. The second one is, of course, General Khalifa Haftar in Libya. So they lost Syria, they lost Tartus, the place when their fleet was based. I'm not sure if there were so many troops right now to fill the vacuum which they have because of Ukraine, because they were systematically pushing or taking them back to Russia because of Ukraine in the last 2 years.
And how about the naval bases?
Well, they remain empty.
So they lost access to them, right?
Many of Russian ships were evacuated from Tartus and other places within the last couple of days. So I guess they are on the way to Russia right now. Probably Russia has lost some of the equipment, but the most important one was already evacuated. So they haven't lost soldiers and shipments and equipment in a scale that will be a defeat for them, but they've lost a point of interest, point of influence in the Middle East.
Thank you very much.
Wojciech
Cegielski, thank you for taking your time tonight, especially on Sunday, but it's a very important issue. So that concludes this main edition of World News Tonight. Thank you very much for watching, and stay safe.